So today I'm talking about how to heal a broken heart in codependent relationships, and it's a lot more intense. So in this video, I'm going to share exactly what you can do to take care of yourself and heal from a broken heart. But first, my name is Michelle Ferris. I'm a psychotherapist, and I love helping people create relationships that work. So a codependent relationship is based on an unhealthy dependency where you put all your emotional eggs in one person's basket. So your relationships are naturally going to be more intense. So when they break up, they're going to be intense too. And sometimes this can be really shocking. So the first thing you need to do is normalize the grieving process. Because when you are dealing with a broken heart and the end of a relationship, you are most likely going to be in intense grief. And while no breakup is easy, when you're codependent and you're trying to let go of a relationship, it can feel excruciating because codependent people do not let go easily. I know for me, I never do. Even today, if I have to let go of somebody, I usually have a lot of resistance because I know how painful it is. But that intense grief is actually normal for the codependent. And so normalizing your feelings is going to be really important because what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to think that you're crazy or you're not doing it right or what's wrong with you, that you can't let go, because letting go is super painful for the codependent and we tend to avoid it at all costs, even if it means staying in a relationship longer than we should because it's toxic or unhealthy. So the first thing you need to do is to normalize the grief because it is going to be more intense based on your history of codependency, and that's okay. Now, the next thing you're going to need to do based on that level of grief is seek additional support. You know, family and friends can be great, but if you're in intense need, which you likely are if you're trying to heal from a broken heart, your family and friends are going to get burnt out quickly because they're not therapists. They don't know exactly what to do to support you, especially if the need for support is more intense given the broken heart and dealing with the end of a relationship. So what I want you to do is I want you to consider Al-Anon or CODA, which are both 12-step programs for codependency that are going to give you the support you need. What I love about 12-step programs is that you can take what you like and leave the rest. You do not have to do everything they recommend. You can go to the meetings and get support. You can find a mentor, which is called a sponsor or not. But those meetings are the best place for you to heal from a broken heart because they are going to understand the pain and the intense grief that you're feeling much more than family and friends. People who are also recovering from codependency are going to get it, and I want that for you. So another thing I want you to be aware of when you're healing from a broken heart is that you may actually transfer that dependency from the relationship you're trying to get over to somebody else. In the past, I actually went to my best friend and really expected her to be everything to me during a breakup. And it didn't work because one of the things that happened is she got burnt out and she got upset, which at the time I didn't really understand. But what I don't want for you is I don't want you to overtax family and friends because they can't give you everything you need. Part of what the codependent person needs to learn in recovery is to spread out their emotional support system so that they don't rely too heavily on one person. And the danger when you're dealing with a broken heart is the likelihood of transferring all that neediness and dependency to somebody else. And I don't want that for you. But if you've ever done that, say me too in the comments because I'm right there with you. I've done it and I know the pain of it. And I don't want you to tax your present relationships because believe me, there's a healthier way to do this. And that leads to the next thing you need to do is start cultivating a relationship with yourself. Now, when you're in the throes of grief, this is not easy to do. But part of what you can do is start taking walks, start journaling, start talking out loud to your God or to a being that you find comforting. Because part of what you need to do to heal from a broken heart is to be able to self-soothe. And that means finding healthy ways to deal with the grief, whether that's writing or taking walks or going to the beach, doing things that are healthy and soothing for yourself so that you don't have to only rely on getting external support. Because that is sort of the catnip for us as codependents is we want that connection so badly, but then we miss other opportunities for our growth. And even though it's not sexy, cultivating a relationship with yourself is going to be really important in the healing process Because believe it or not, you can validate yourself. You can validate your own pain. I do this all the time where I might be alone and I might say out loud, you know, Michelle, you are exactly where you need to be. It's okay that you feel the way you feel. You're not wrong, you're not bad. Because learning how to validate yourself in recovery is a huge deal, especially when you're suffering from a broken heart. The next thing you can do is to create a grief ritual for yourself. Some people build an altar where they might put pictures, a candle, special books, something where that can be your special place to grieve, to talk to that person that you're trying to let go of, and deal more directly with your heartbreak. So in therapy terms, this can also be considered prescribing the symptom, where you actually make an appointment to let yourself grieve. Because sometimes we're so busy in our lives that we maybe don't want to face the grief and the pain of a broken heart. But creating a ritual, whether that's first thing in the morning, maybe before you go to bed at night, can really help you give yourself the time necessary to heal and to cry. Because even though I know this grief is really excruciating, I've been through it myself several times, the best thing I've done for myself in my own codependency recovery is to allow the feelings to come up, because that's the way you're going to heal, going through the feelings and letting them out. Because when we don't do that, we get stuck, and that puts us at risk for substance abuse, food addiction, unhealthy behaviors, staying in toxic relationships, and I don't want that for you. If you're relating to this at all, say me too in the comments, because I am right there with you. I totally understand the pain of letting go. So the next thing you can do to heal from a broken heart in codependent relationships is find the lesson. Because in every painful breakup or situation, there's always a lesson. For instance, did you put this other person as your higher power and put all of your emotional eggs in their basket? So when they left, you feel destroyed. That's a really common lesson that, while painful, can be really helpful in your growth. Because when I realized I did that with a friend about 5 years ago, it was a huge aha, because I didn't think I did that. But once again, I put somebody else as being my higher power because I counted on her too much for my support and my validation. So what I want you to do is I want you to find the lesson. What do you think you learned in this relationship that you could bring into your recovery? Because in every relationship, there's a really valuable lesson. You just have to be willing to look for it. For instance, another important lesson you might have learned is that you didn't set boundaries and you really sacrificed your own values for the relationship. That can be a very important lesson to learn, because you may not want to do that in your next relationship. So being able to find the lesson also means looking at our own relationship behavior and what didn't work. Not from a place of beating yourself up or punishing yourself, but to get the lesson. Because nobody does relationships perfectly, but you can certainly learn to do them better. So the next thing I want you to do is I want you to go watch this video on journaling and building self-trust, because that is a core goal in codependency recovery. Thanks so much.